this whole entire setup is so wow. I have like my light ring behind this camera, my Sony, that I've been having forever. I absolutely love. I just toss it in. It's a Sony 6000 that I toss it into just my little bag every time. And then I have my phone kind of propped up with the speakers, or not speaker, the microphone coming at me right now. So it's hella funny. The setup is so lit. What's up, everybody? We are tapping right in with your girl, Miss steezyone. Shout out to everybody for loving and supporting on all the endeavors, on everything up to what it has aspired to nowadays. Because, you know, we've been going through so many transitions and things with life happening, and that's just how it goes. In the transition and time that I was at back in San Francisco, I was looking for more of an inner understanding of what I was going through at that time, but just in general, what this life and this journey really means on a deeper and profound kind of level, not so much on a surface. So I decided to get uncomfortable and get to know myself, and I took the steps that I needed to, which were so many different things, from exploring new ways of creative expression, to music, to dancing, to embracing myself into a newer scene in San Francisco. And it definitely showed me how much of a student I was, and not fully understanding how or what to connect within myself to be able to fully embrace who I am as an individual. But with that said, it was 5 years being a tattoo reader. So basically, long story short, 5 years ago, being a tarot reader, but most importantly, it was a tool that I used to help me embrace and inspire the inner questions that I had for myself. And hunting for these answers, I knew deep down I had to. And so I went to a local shop in San Francisco on Haight Street, which many people who are from San Francisco or have ever visited know, this mom and pop shop, this beautiful shop. It's a crystal shop. It's three sisters that own the shop. It's called Leva Ganesh. And I remember going in at the time when I was in this transition, and I didn't know what I was looking for. All I knew was there's crystals, there's, you know, this healing vibration, this very feminine, nurturing, beautiful, these three sisters that I call them aunties, that have this shop there in San Francisco. And I remember it was one of the sisters that was working, and I was, you know, I went in, and they're so beautiful, they're so sweet and so nurturing, and they remember who you are, which is like the most, you can only imagine so many people and tourists coming in, so that already gives you an understanding and an idea of their presence when you are coming into their home, basically. And so I was, you know, just wandering around looking for whatever it was I was being pulled to grab and or to take with me. I didn't know what it was, but for some reason I was naturally gravitating towards tarot cards. It was my first time, you know, ever just kind of putting it into a perspective of, let me try these cards. You know, maybe this will be another tool for me to get to know what I'm going through and kind of give me a guide of where I need to be and what I need to do. And so I remember and it was a beautiful deck, and I still have it to this day. It was a tarot deck called Tattoo Tarots. And of course, I mean, long story, you know, things are never coincidences. It's you're always on the path to where you're supposed to be. And that time and place, it was resonating with me. And so I decided to grab those tarot decks. And I had a few other crystals. I think it was a rose quartz, of course, for my heart chakra at the time, going through, again, the transition. And I remember I gathered everything that I needed, and I put it on the register, and the auntie was, you know, and it, again, if you've ever been to the shop, they're always giving you, you know, free Palo Santo or some incense that they feel, you know, resonates with you, or they'll give you some crystal that they feel you need for that moment in time. And so she was gathering everything up and putting everything in a bag, and an actual, you know, regular carrier bag. And so I was, you know, prepared to pay. And going into the shop too, for me, it was a space for me to come with no expectations. So every time I went to this place, I wasn't worried about what I was grabbing or how much it was going to cost, because intentionally I knew these were tools that I were needing to put in my backpack for me to use. So I was prepared to, you know, pay like an X amount. It's usually about $60-$70 that I'll spend there. And mind you, I do not care how much I would spend there. And so back to her putting everything and gathering everything together, throwing in the incense and, you know, the little crystals and everything else. And at the very moment she said, "Here you go." And at that instant, I was shocked. I was very, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect. And so it's always been a struggle for me to receive. And so again, at that moment, I knew my ego kind of heightened, and it frightened me a little bit, because at that time and space, I was trying to figure out, wait, but I should pay for this because things aren't free, and all these things in my mind in that moment were, you know, scrambling. And so I will never forget this time ever, and obviously for the rest of my life. But it, at that moment, and even to today, it showed me the things that I was needing to work on. And when she presented that to me, I grabbed the bag, but I still wanted to pay for it. And so I just remember she kind of laughed. She kind of laughed at me, and she was like, "Okay." But I will never forget that moment. You know, again, it was just that time and place that I was in, and it showed me so much that there was so much healing that I was needing to do at that time. And that was a major one that I was needing to heal for myself, is knowing how to receive from people. Because my entire life, I've always been the giver, and always felt everybody's energy, and always wanted to help people, not realizing that was taken away from me, and kind of suppressing all of the things that I was going through, and just kind of put it on the back burner, because I would rather have everybody else happy before me, kind of thing. So that was a pivotal moment in my life. And back to everything else. So I was gifted these tarot cards, and I knew right then and there, I was like, all right, this is it. These are, you know, the tools and the gifts that my ancestors, the universe, are giving to me, that I have to prepare for myself, and how translate this other form of creative expression out and share that with everybody and kind of be that inspiration. So as many readers know, as many tarot readers know, that once you're gifted tarot cards, it's basically you being given the role to carry on the tradition. So I thought that was pretty awesome and such a wild and crazy, overwhelming experience for me. But of course, San Francisco is such a beautiful place. It's known to have all these beautiful portals that exist there. I mean, we'll take it back to the 60s and 70s, where the Hate Street was definitely the place and time to be. And so obviously that resonated for me. And again, in that time and place that I was in, it gave me the opportunity to be open to that. And so it's definitely taken me some time to open up again once to these gifts and to be able to share it and be in that vulnerable place, and just kind of be that voice for a lot of people that don't know how to fully express themselves in the most uncomfortable and the most unorthodox ways, that's not traditional. And so once again, it's been something that I've been keeping sacred for myself, that I've never been able to share with a lot of people, because once again, it's always been just a journey for myself and such a healing process for myself, and tools that I've just put in my backpack for myself to carry me on. So with that said, you guys, thank you guys for all the love and support. And please follow the Instagram of my tarot. And I hope that it brings everybody inspiration and love, and, and just for us to tap into our gifts. And if I could be that inspiration, and if I can be that trigger to anybody, even if it's just one person. Honestly, I'm at a point in my life right now, where it's no longer, I'm no longer in a position to where I have to hide it anymore. And so it's time for me to share all these gifts and these natural things that just come to me, because it's been something that I've suppressed for a very long time, only because of the upbringing that I came from, people, places, relationships, a lot of very judgmental people that I've come across in my life that put a detrimental part in my life. But I've been able to kind of shift and experience all these hardships for me to be right here today, to be in front of this camera to talk about this. And honestly, I never thought I would be here doing this. But this is definitely something that's been calling and speaking to me for a very long time. I just never knew how to do it, or when, or what it was how I was supposed to present it, and when it was gonna present itself. But realistically, we just gotta tap right in, not give a shit about what anybody thinks. People are always gonna be judgmental. People are always gonna have hate in them, only because they haven't taken the time to take a step back and figure out their traumas or their, insecurities and things that they haven't fully healed. And so it's going to be easier for people to project and want to say the rudest things, say the meanest things to you. Especially, unfortunately, it's going to be a lot of high rank people. A lot of it has to do with, politics, people that are in a community that have a higher position for the community. A lot has to do with money, whatever, respects, all of it, whatever. And majority of the time, what is on the surface level, I've definitely been able to experience a lot of people coming on a surface level and not being fully their authentic selves. And so for them to preach certain things and beliefs that they themselves aren't doing. It's very hypocritical, and unfortunately, it's what happens. It's the ego, you know, and it's the materialistic of what this society and life has presented itself the way to be for many, many years. So we can go on and talk about all this stuff. But once again, I just wanted to introduce another one of my talents and gifts that have been handed down to me, and in hopes that it helps inspires anybody else that's out there trying to find that inner strength to want to be able to present themselves in this unorthodox kind of way. Do it. Trust me. You'll be so much happier. You're going to feel so much freer. It's taken me so long to get to this point, but you know what? Fuck it. Who the fuck cares at this point? There's going to be an ending to our life in the long run, and what we need to embrace and understand now is to be able to fully be authentic with ourselves and be truthful with ourselves, and humble down and just, you know, try and figure out the tools that we need for ourselves to be able to be an inspiration for ourselves ultimately. And that's what it all comes down to. Number one is for ourselves, in order for us to be that outside of us, to naturally inspire people, our families, our friends, relationships. So yeah, guys, thank you guys once again. Just wanted to share this story with everybody, and I hope that it does inspire everybody to pull out those talents and gifts that have been hiding inside of everybody and embrace it, and don't put so much pressure on it. Don't think about it so much, and just allow it to just come out. It doesn't matter how it fucking comes out. Just let it come out. As long as you're coming from the most humble, the most nurturing and most loving and caring space, it doesn't matter how you do it. As long as you're happy, as long as you're doing what you want to do, and as long as it's not hurting anybody else or not hurting yourself either, then you are on the right track. So once again, you guys, this is your girl, Miss steezyone. Follow the other Instagram, follow the heartwork at sunrosegoddess13 on Instagram, y'all. Peace and so much love.